This is your daily market recap for Thursday, December 1st, 2022.
Hey everyone, this is my channel to help investors and traders develop a probability-based mindset to succeed. Also try and keep friends informed of what's going on in the markets and the economy, and also a little real estate content as well. This is Dan Max at eXp Realty, aka the Trading Agent. This is your daily market recap for December 1st, 2022. It is December already. Unreal. Hopefully you're having a good day. I'm going to jump right into the commentary. Pretty excited about the action today, actually. I like to see the markets close closer to the lows, not necessarily of the day, but just in general, going into the Friday's jobs number. As someone who said over and over and over and over, the market does not peak when everyone's bearish. We need to see the markets continue to kind of base, go higher, blow out top, or a chop top into what I would say would be endlessly bullish news. I was looking at some of the perceptions for tomorrow. What are people expecting? Up, down, or flat? Again, 52% bears, 39% bulls, and like 14% flat, whatever. Not top-ish kind of numbers. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. I know a lot of people are, they are just ready to short, and let's go through the evidence and make sure that is not or is the case kind of thing, because I personally think it's not. But let's the evidence talk. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell. We do live chats all the time, and you want to get these reports as they come out, because sometimes it's late, sometimes it's early. You don't want to be sitting around waiting. So I appreciate everybody. If you want to follow on Twitter, please do. This is where, if you want to get in the Discord room, a lot of people hit me up on all these different places. If you can't follow the simple direction of please hit me up on Twitter, then I'm probably not going to respond. It's not something personal. It's just I want to have a conversation here and see where you're at. Please check out also what we're constantly posting on Twitter, because that's where the value is. Trading, what we're up to, what we're thinking. If you're newer to trading, and I know a lot of folks ask about it, like, oh, where's some good information? How do I learn how to do what you're doing? Like, where do your insights come from? Well, here you go. 53 educational videos. Please check them out. What tomorrow is expecting? Doji day, as we typically see with jobs numbers. Trend reversals. No, not so much, but see a lot of what I would call near-term volatility, just in the sense that digestion, if that's the best way, if the market's been digesting the up move from Wednesday. All right, let's get into it. Oh, I apologize. Bitcoin. Man, why are they changing? It's funny. I guess you can only have, used to be able to run multiple screens or tabs open of trading view without it popping right back to what it was. Apologize. Bitcoin. Said this over and over. Dead money. However you want to trade it, go right ahead. I think there's just better opportunity. Oil. Getting interesting if you bought down in the mid 70s at the major swing points and you waited for it, or if you layered in a little higher and just continued to play the game, knowing that this level would be the stop if you got below it, close below it, keep in mind. Now what? Look at that. Hits up in the 84s. I guess it's not. It's technically 83s, 84s, 85s. Projected. Now, first touch, not surprised. This area matters. Let's see what happens. Give it a day or two. We got OPEC coming. Don't be surprised when all of the potentialities of the headlines have been priced in, because think about it. You've seen headlines of OPEC cutting, OPEC's raising, OPEC's doing nothing, OPEC this, OPEC that. Well, guess what? It's been talked about for weeks, and it's probably what pushed the prices down from breaking out. Keep that in mind. I say this a lot. Chop is normal. But if this is a chop range and we broke below the low and is a bear trap, higher prices should resolve. If they don't, well, you know what? People get mad all the time. Oh, what do you do? Know your stop. How do you get into a trade and just say, well, I'm going to hold it forever and I'm going to pretend I can't be wrong? Gosh darn it, no. Nat gas, started buying some on the dip today. Beyond just in the sense of adding to a winning position. trying to wait for a pullback again. If you sold up here, congrats. Now you're back below. Temporarily, not surprised. I mean, natural wild gas. And I'm not talking about the stuff that comes out of your sphincter. This natural gas is pretty wild. Could it be in a chop zone? Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, ideally you get chop zones along the way. Now, what phase are we in? Maybe we're in this phase right here. You know, you get up, you get choppy, you make a slightly higher high, you pull back. I mean, you don't know. Every formation can be slightly different, but what are you looking for at this point if you are natural gas heavy or trading around it? Look for pullbacks and look for the action. That's all you can really say. We'll dig into it a little more in the video, but that's all I can say at this point. The dollar, you're welcome. What did we say? We're going to get down to the 200-day, probably down into the low 20s. Ding, 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 ding. Hello. Hello. We're there. Now what? Are we going to just one touch and go? That's not usually how it goes. V bottoms, V tops. No, it's either going to be choppy, higher, like lower highs, maybe higher lows. Chop. It's probably not going to be a V touch one day event. So just keep that in mind. Well, how does that play out? Maybe it puts the market into the position to what? Peak next week, folks. Peak maybe during OPEX. Man, I hate having to continue to postpone what I think is what's going to happen. But do yourself a favor. I've said this over and over. The market could chop if we're in the sweet spot. What's the sweet spot? Low inflation. Oil prices sustain and low. Like Fed's raising, but talking about not even having to raise more because the economy's in a good place. Like that headline in itself needs to be more prevalent, but it's not. But that's really what's going on here. You not thought about it? Like dollar came down, rates have gone lower. Inflationary things that are causing the Feds to, have to raise rates have come back in. Think about it. Stop listening to the news, the noose, as I call it, trying to get, your actual thoughts about what the market's going to do. Like the market is clearly liked what's going on. It's just can it get better or is it going to get worse? And we've said this 1,000 times. For it to get worse, you need oil gas to start ripping. If not, we could play this game where oil probably holds in the 80s, mid 80s. The market could just build, chop, then flop probably. What day, when, I don't know. The VIX. Talked about choppiness. You're welcome. Chop bottoms. Yeah, that's what we talked about. Here you go. Making a slightly lower low. Could we get down into the 18s? Yeah. Yeah, baby. Yeah. Well, let's just kind of keep an eye on like what you probably can consider now the near-term trend line, right? If you drew it, you see it. Or if you see it, you drew it. Probably that's the better way to describe it. Well, at this point, it just doesn't necessarily mean the VIX has to spike and the market's going to tank. But jobs number, red alert. Could that trigger something? I don't know. I personally think we need more information. I've seen this happen before. Markets get into choppy, sloppy action. It's not always V bottom, V top. No, it could be choppy top, choppy tops like last December. Rallies up into OPEX, pulls back, rallies, then fails. That's always possible. I mean, you're at the high end of range. And then now again, this volume is probably more distributive than actually accumulative. Let's be honest. If this is going to be top, it has to be. It has to be more distributive, right? The market makers were using that to sell into. But does that one day mean it has to turn around? No. We're over the 200-day. This is where it gets a little complicated. You get the 0.75 right here. Fib next is 0.786, right around there. You got old trend lines, and I've said this, and I'm genuinely concerned. Nobody's listening. No one's thinking about it, thinking beyond now. I don't know for a fact, but if this zone breaks out, you have to be cognizant of the 420s plus. I don't know if it's going to happen this way, but if we have a wide broadening down trend, and we've seen it in other commodities / other asset classes, could you get the broadening pattern up top? Seen it in a lot of other potential not commodities, but asset classes. They've been having these broadening patterns. Please don't get too bearish too quick. That's all I can say at this point. I mean, I'm going to try to clean up these charts. I wouldn't be surprised. A lot of confluence up here. 420s, 430s. I don't want to raise the price targets because I don't think it makes sense to, but I've said this, in a way, trying to be nice to people. It's like the bears cheerleading and screaming for a crash every day isn't bearish. Okay, we're close. We'll see what happens. I mean, here's your 4. Remember, we said for months, or not months, I mean more like weeks, probably going to get up to the upside target zone. You're welcome. If you've made money in this last couple of weeks, months, congratulations. Congratulations. You should be making money. I know 90% of the people I talk to are doing amazing. I'm not complaining at all. Again, I don't like to really brag about it because it's a buy yourself thing. You hit enter, you hit exit, you're competing against yourself, not anyone else. So, I mean, I don't know. Q's talks about it. Getting in the 290s, here you are. Here you are. Now clearly lagging. 200, not even close to the 200-day. But that's the next thing. You watch, if we hold, 305 becomes very easy to put into your brain and think about, you know what? Maybe it takes time to get to 303, 305, whatever the 200-day is at. Early December. First 10 days, maybe. It's hard. I know. Oh, but this and this and that. Stop it. You don't know. And again, we really like to use sentiment as an indicator. God, it's just all confluences right there. Crap. You don't know until after the fact. But what I was saying, I'm getting distracted by drawing as we do this. Because keep in mind, I'm doing a lot of this live. I've been out all day. So if you're seeing me do this, take notes of what I'm doing. I'm trying to figure out what the trend is going to be. And when things confluence in multiple spots, multiple indicators in multiple spots, like a fib, potentially a 200-day, potentially a channel high, you better put the 303 price level in your mind. I'm going to remove this trend line. This one is old. It's an oldie, but it's on. I can see it on the weekly. It gets pretty interesting, y'all. See what happens. You get over 295, you can see higher prices. IWM, talk about leading and lagging. SPY making new highs. IWM at the highs. Technically lagging, but by much better than the Qs. If we look at the SPY, technically, yes, the SPY is doing better, and the IWM is lagging. It's like the middle between the Qs and the SPY. I said this many times, but watch out for the Dow. I haven't said it a ton. I talked about it in the previous recaps. Here's your broadening pattern, right? The Dow's making one. It's clearly over August highs. What trend line is it going to be? You tell me. You tell me. Broadening patterns, broadening patterns, broadening patterns. Pick and choose your battles. Maybe the market doesn't necessarily have to do that, but certain sectors could. That's what I'm talking about. Maybe the SPY. Maybe probably not. More likely not. Again, we're bouncing around looking at this stuff. But it would lead you to, if the Dow made a broadening pattern higher, then yeah, the SPY could get higher. It could go higher. It should be very obvious, right? Do we want to assume, something up here? Again, it's tough to know for sure. I'm trying to talk to you from the perspective of my thought process of being probability-based, trying to be patient. Got massive trend lines here. That would be bonkers. But you know what? And I say this all the time. The best way to reel in the bulls fully is to do what? Go higher, right? Higher, best advertising for higher prices. Like, look at the SPY, right? Could we pull the 20-month, right? Could we talk to the back test of the old channel highs, right? This old channel here. Just take it for what it is. Sorry to dig in deep. I think it's well worth it. You can interpret it how you want. I personally don't think we're at the top. That's all I can say. That's all I can say. Dia, like I said, probably widening out. Probably has a little more to go. Gold took profits today, hit our fibs. Nobody believed us. There you go. 200-day, 0.786. Upside target hit. I'm gone. Started buying down here. This is a good trade for gold. We expect seasonality. December pullbacks. December pullbacks. December pullbacks. December pullbacks. December pullbacks. Did I say December pullbacks? I think I said December pullbacks, right? Yeah. Here you go. At worst, a bottom. Chop bottom. Or, now a lot of people are going to say, well, Dan, is gold going back to the lows? You have to trade the evidence you see. As of right now, we'll have to just let it play out. Like, again, partially timing, partially sentiment, what's going on in the world. I truly struggle giving price targets and talking about this stuff sometimes to people who only catch parts of these videos or listen to one video and then come back a week later. Hey, you said this. This is what we're trying to talk about here. Like, it's a probability-based game, right? Like, we're talking about potentialities. If anyone's telling you this is what's going to happen exactly all the time, that's not how this works. Nobody knows that. Hope that's very clear. Silver, we talk about it. Get back up into the upper 20s. Well, holy bejesus. I would just be on a little bit of a red alert here. What? Damn, what? Red alert. 1 gap, 2 gap, 3 gaps. Now we know silver loves to play games. So I would just be on red alert. What's the next upside target? Well, you're above it in my opinion. But could you get up here to 2130s? Possible. Definitely possible. I mean, if you've been in this stuff, great trade. Nice work. Some people talked about shorting miners. Now, seems more likely better than before. We were right about that. 200-day, 0.618, chop zone. I mean, you're getting close. You're getting close, y'all. I do not think we're going to get over 38s. That would be impressive. Now, I know we closed nearer the highs, but if you were layering into the trade, I get it. But just be cognizant. GDX kind of into the 200-day. Sorry, into this blue zone above the 200-day. Personally, probably going to go up 31 maybe. Not too far off. If you are starting the shorts, I get it. People sometimes go, oh, you're early on time. What are your probabilities? I always tell them, like, the odds I'm perfectly right, small. The odds I'm early, high. The odds that I'm late, high. Well, guess what? You average them all together, you try to be pretty spot on. Does that make sense? Trying to pick tops and bottoms. Awesome. If you can do it better than I, great. Doing this a long time, I still tell people it is a hard ask. Hard ask. Because you don't know what the orders and what's going through the order flow, who's trapped, who's trying to be, squeezed, who's trying to be knocked out. You don't know. Anyway. AG, holding up, looks all right. I mean, all these names, they look all right. Near term, they're probably getting a little overstretched. It's a pretty solid move, 36 up to 52. Probably not a lot more to go. Newmont, even this piece of junk, talked about it could probably get into like here. Yeah, so funny. I didn't save my charts. I had my internet went down and I just closed everything. Look at the high. Touched the top of the gap. Not surprised. If you want a short, and if you're listening though, and I know who listens to this, I would short probably Newmont before I short GDX or GDXJ. Sorry about that, man. I'm just congested. PAAS, nice pop. All right, here you go. This is what I thought would probably be your ultimate top if you did. We'll see what happens. Volume's building, so it's not terrible, but I still don't like the deal they're doing. Good old tech. Good old laggard. Above the 100-day. Chopping. Tough to know. Tough to know. I mean, a lot of these names, I'm like, NVIDIA, what did we say? Watch for the 200-day 0.786. This one looks better, right? AMD's hard. I mean, again, I don't know why anyone's over trading these. I would just go to the SMH. I know some people talked about shorting it today. That makes sense up here. Now, just don't be surprised if you're early. And I said worst case scenario, you could get up into the 240s. So if you're trading Soxus, I mean, and buying it in the 29 level, I mean, you might see 26s, 27s. This one's tough. I mean, because this candle here is a little ominous if it doesn't follow through. Because then it would have been what I would consider the last leg trap. Just be careful. You've broken the channel. Here's this old, big, white, important trend line. I'm just, again, my instincts, and I can be wrong, is that more people need to be trapped for the market makers to unload for the next big slammer. And time, it could be part of it. Adobe, keep talking about, will probably get up into the 350s. Hit the 100-day retesting highs. Not surprised it chopped a little. Apple, if all this stuff in the world was so bad and the China stuff was going to get worse, this would be absolutely getting smashed. One day would not retake all of the problems that it was having. Here's your trend line. Watch it. It could break out. Amazon, getting over the 20-day. We said, this doesn't look bearish now. Maybe it can get back up into the 101 area. Again, things that don't look terribly bearish. CRM came out today with, I think there was their earnings. Look at that. Gapped down, hit the channel. Man, that's why you draw the charts. Bounce, close at the high of the day. This is tough. This is really tough to know. I mean, at worst, it probably should rally. Channel high, channel low, channel high, channel low. Personally, I would keep an eye on it. I mean, at worst, you might be able to get a 160. Again, does the market hold up? Googmeister. We talked about it hitting the channel lows, and we said, man, is this a professional gap off the lows? Well, it's looking more like it because you're making higher highs and off the lows. We put in the price target up in the 105, 108 area. That, to me, seems like where I'd be looking. Meta said 120s were possible. You're there. Here's the 50-day. Do we fill the gap? Watch it. If you stay over the 20-day, yeah, you absolutely should fill the gap, 128s. Again, the market doesn't look like it's about to roll over. Tech seems to be catching a little bit of bids. Now, and again, the trash usually floats last, but I'm telling you right now, and over. The market feels like it's in the sweet spot. The feds can really say anything, and the market doesn't care. Because they can right now say, you know what, we're raising rates to do the best to, keep inflation under control, and we're doing a great job, guys. And so we might not raise that much more. I mean, you can tell, like that's indirectly what's going on. All right, Microsoft said 270s, 260s. We just draw it. Somewhere in there. I mean, it seems possible. If the dollar is bottoming, sorry, not bottoming, if the dollar has room to drop, which it has, and it stays down, I mean, they could run this thing right up there real quick. Just keep that in mind. It's been that's a solid move right there. 238 up to 254. Here's the problem with people getting bearish. This isn't bearish. You had a huge day and all reasons to sell off, and it just stays in the top quarter of the candle. That's not bearish, y'all. Not yet, at least. NDAQ, people are like, watch the alerts for 68s. I'm like, yeah, I said a couple days ago, well, if it holds up here, 70 handle, looking like it. MicroStrategy, Bitcoin's holding. We said watch what happens here around the 180. It could pop 20, 30, 40, maybe 50 points. It's popping over the 20-day. Netflix. I love trading this. This one's become so much better than some of the other names. Higher highs, higher lows. I'm telling you, it's going to fill this gap. Somebody sold it at 290, which I understood. But when you got to win, when you got a trend, you got to be patient. I know it's a big move in a day if you got it somewhere in the 270s or low 280s. Again, if we talked about the market, looks like it's not bearish. So here you go. Now don't be surprised when it gets up into the 330s. And please, if you own it and you're following, you know what to do. Take your profits. Roblox. Sneaky holds the fib, holds the lows, bouncing. Tesla. Talked about it. Watch what happens when it retests the 177, 180 area. Here you go. Breaks the downtrend over the 20-day. Everyone might say this is bearish, but I would argue it made a higher high and a higher low. So, I mean, there are red candles in downtrend or uptrends, right? Like it could, this could be it, and then it just backs off and goes a little higher. This backs off, goes higher. I mean, this thing hasn't really had a strong bull trend in a while. Yeah, I mean, here you go. You get these reds. I mean, now are we gonna get the straight line move? Probably not. I'm not surprised it's bouncing. Commodities, holding high, holding tight. X is just building. Talked about getting up into 28s. Congrats. New core. Struggling with the low 150s. Not surprised. But holding up. Doesn't look terrible. VALE. Looking pretty good. Continuation patterns. Higher highs, higher lows. I mean, I personally still won't be buying it. Unless it dumps later. Looks all right. Arrow. Man, copper. Another nice ripper. Higher highs, higher lows. Things that you don't see if the market's about to roll over, but everyone's anticipating a rollover. I don't know why. CCJ, we talked about watching the 2270s when it retests. Yeah, holding up. Made a higher high, higher low. Doesn't look amazing. CF. Man, this is a trading stock. Like I said, the only time I will add the highs if we break out and we follow through. Talked about watching the 103 to 105 range. I mean, I think a lot of us are now become pretty wise of this. Look at the volume here. Pretty interesting. Multi-day range, chopping. Could it fill the gap? That's where you need to watch for. That's the worst case scenario. I like it down here in the 103s. Absolutely. I was gone this afternoon, but I hope I wake up tomorrow and I offered more gifts on CF. Mosaic, yeah, chopping. Higher highs. Sorry, higher lows. Is the higher high coming? I don't know. NTR pulled back a little bit today. Nothing crazy. 20 days we talked about Importante. Yep. It looks all right to me. Just people get so like caught in these like straight line moves, and it's like you got to be worried, because this is why I say taking profits the more you're up, because after a certain point the pullbacks become more likely. Pull next. We'll see. Aaron broke over the highs yesterday. Got right back up against them today in the 50, 70, whatever it is. Hold on. Yeah, upper 50s. Backs off. Okay. Trade around it. We talk about it. Every time this thing moves like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points, you need to trade around it. And if you want to intraday trade it, I mean, it has $2, $3 ranges every day, minimum. Keep that in mind, right? XBI held the lows, breaking over moving averages, question mark, making higher lows. Doesn't look bearish. XLF, another broadening pattern, hit the high, backs off. Decent little volume today. Let me check something. Just curious to see what is the 60. Where is my 60-minute chart? Yeah. Oh, I changed it. Hold on. Just curious. Any major distribution signal? No. This is not ideal. Doesn't look too distributive. All right, I'm just looking, just kind of trying to take a peek under the hood. Looks pretty normal to hit the range highs. I've said this, if it holds it, broadening, breakout, a little higher, maybe 36s. Well, do you get to 37s? I don't know. You're at the 20-month. Keep that in mind for the home gamers. Check this out. Put it on your radar. Like, I don't think we're probably going to break out, right? Just keep that in mind. Like, I think this is, if anything's closer, man, I probably might regret this in shorting. It's the XLF. But it doesn't mean next week it couldn't what? Chop around. Chop around. Jump up, chop down. Chop around. I don't know. You know what I mean? Does this make sense? Like, it could be, it's done this a lot. Chop tops. What day was that? Okay, so that was near the end of the month too. Yeah, this one's a tough one. We're in the upside target zone. I just don't know how much more upside. Like I said, if there's anything I would think is worth shorting first, if the market is going to roll and things are getting worse, banks will be bag holding. We know that for a fact. So we'll see what happens here. Let's see. Man, wow, FAS. Man, Jesus, up in the 90s. I'm like taking notes, like drooling. Ooh, I was like wanting 90 plus, and got up to what? Like, sorry, not 90 plus. Like get around 90. Got up to, what is it? 89. Morgan Stanley down 7 pennies. Not that big a deal. Making slightly higher highs, holding up. JP Morgan down $2. Doesn't look terrible. I mean, again, we need the market to roll over. Financials making these strong higher highs off the lows, y'all. I swear to God, people who are bearish aren't looking at evidence because it just seems so logical. Why? Maybe you're getting closer to the shorts. I get that. But shorting beforehand, man, mind-boggling. It's like, how can you just ignore everything? Tan, solar, inside day, man, that's tough. I mean, I still think you can get up because of oil and gas, so I would not short these. ENPH, man, it's just chopping up here, up against the old highs. This one's tough to know. I mean, I personally think the best way to blow out bears, to get people to chase stupidly, break the top. Sedge holding up here in the 3 to upper 290s. Doesn't look like it's going to roll over. First solar, and it is just like holding up higher highs, higher lows. This is a slight bit concerning at the highs. Just keep this on your radar because first solar could roll first. It's tough, man. Again, this is why this is why I'm always so skeptical, or not skeptical, scared of giving out price targets. Because if you only watch one recap, you only watch once a month, once a week, you hit these levels and you go, oh, I'm just shorting, or I'm going to go. No, you don't do it. You got to look in the vacuum. Sorry, you got to look in the market, not through the lens of like a vacuum that's empty where you believe that nothing affects anything other than just what you want to see. Like the whole market itself is affecting the whole market, right? HYG, we talked about corporate debt. I mean, that making new highs. Doji doesn't look that bad. XDiv, I mean, have we ever peaked on an XDiv? Let's keep that in mind. We've seen some bottoms a little later. Not really. Bottoms on XDivs. No real tops on XDivs. Nope, not that I can see. So I like to look for recurring patterns. It's probably not the top. And if corporate debt looks good, market ain't rolling over. I'm just telling. I just feel terrible for folks who just think it's like imminent. Could be days, could be weeks, and people are like, "Oh, you've changed when your timing was," because like the evidence has gotten more bullish. I mean, it's like financials, the Dow, all these names. They don't look like they're about to get beaten to a pulp. Whatever. Oil. Pops up, comes back down. It's still technically a higher high, higher low. That whole like buy the end of the day, sell the morning, seems to be pretty solid strategy. UNG started buying it in 2120, added 21, added 2080. Just seems to be all right, holding this like 20 area, mid 20 area. It's hard. Trend line, all this stuff, it should confluence and hold. XOP, a lot of people are like, oh, what's going to happen here? It's like, hits the 20-day, backs off. I love the short interest is so high on this. I mean, at this point, you could argue a lot of things. Just trying to see if there's any like trend lines. It to me feels like this. Remember how the market took the last run? Or took a run? Go look at here. May, June. Or so did I say May, June? I meant March, right? Hold on. What is going on, Dan? You were just losing it. March, April, sorry. No, I guess it was May, June. Yeah, the market, I mean, this stuff. Why am I just like waking up to this fact again? I've been like in a time warp. Yeah, here you go. May, June, you had this pop. I keep looking at this because it feels like it's similar. Even as the market went choppy, toppy, like kind of blew off. Look what the XOP did, right? It went stupid. Are we about to go stupid? Is this like the candle here? I don't know. I don't know. It feels very... And again, this is why I think people don't realize chop is like you're not your best friend. Hence, when you put yourself in options trades and you're expecting something, you should definitely give yourself time. Trade around your positions. You never know. People say, oh, it's below 20-day below trend. Yep, I see that. I just would watch. I mean, it doesn't look like it's breaking down. Today's candle, not ideal. But the price cap stuff is a bunch of crap. I'm sorry. I just say it over and over. Just keep an eye on it. I mean, 140s, mid, lower 140s. Probably not going to break. But it could base before it's going to go. Maybe it's waiting for OPEC, question mark. ExxonMobil holding high and tight, not bearish. Really not much to say there. Occidental down 69 cents. Holding 50-day. Doesn't look terrible. PXD. I was hoping for more today. Doji's fine. We talked about someone bought a ton of shares into the close yesterday. Look below and fail. Close at the 100-day. I like it. I have no problem with it. All right. Again, want to always reiterate, if you're doing well, pay yourself, pay your taxes, treat your family, do something nice. The goal is 10 properties in 10 years. If you get there, I guarantee you're not working. You have your passive income. You will choose the days you want to trade. You will choose to work or not, because your cash flow at that point, over time, you will build a real estate inventory empire. The goal is to help you get there. I love trading, but I'm telling you right now, people who brag about bigger accounts have bigger volatility, and if they're not taking money, realizing it into real assets, you are only one bad piece of news from the market blowing you out or losing 20, 30, 40%. Bear market, bad news, whatever. Probably not going to happen in housing because you have what's called insurance. No, I'm just kidding. And also, too, again, people always need places to live. They don't always need my favorite stock. All right. Love you guys. Appreciate the donations. Appreciate the love, support, likes, subscribes, all that stuff. I mean, a little bit ever happens. Again, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. That's what I'm hoping the algorithms will pick up on. Not trying to be the next big social media star here. That's not the goal. It's to create a small room of awesome traders that have been taught well, then also have their own unique perspectives. All right. Peace.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, stop by the Discord room. A link is in the description below. Also, if you'd like to help support more free content, the PayPal link is in the description as well. I appreciate your continued support of the channel.